Fibromyalgia is a common condition associated with widespread chronic pain and is often poorly understood and poorly managed. Up until more recently, it took the average person 5 to 9 years to get a diagnosis from when the symptoms first started. Many sufferers are led to believe that the symptoms are just in their head. Are they? My name is Bobby Qureshi. I'm a naturopath and osteopath, and in this video, I'm going to explain what fibromyalgia actually is and what you can do about it. So first, just to make it clear, this is a real condition with people experiencing real pain. And when you say the word fibromyalgia, many people will just think of the pain. But this is a condition associated with many other symptoms, such as fatigue, sleep difficulties, headaches, bowel disturbances, and even depression. The word fibromyalgia has a Latin origin that translates to muscle or tissue pain. Yet what we have learned is that it is not the muscles that are responsible for the pain experienced, but rather faulty processing of information in the brain and spinal cord. So, how does this work? The brain and spinal cord amplify incoming signals from different parts of the body, so that non-painful stimuli, such as light touch, are perceived as being threats by the nervous system. The body, therefore, creates pain as a warning signal, despite the initial stimulus being non-painful in a normal situation. It's a bit like having a motion sensor in your garden that should only turn the lights on if an animal or a human moves by. Yet in fibromyalgia, even a gust of wind or a leaf would trigger the sensor, creating an alert. In body terms, this means its way of perceiving pain is faulty. But the important question is, why is the pain processing faulty? What is happening in a person's life to sensitize that nervous system? Let's talk through some common causes, beginning with trauma. When taking the case history of a patient with fibromyalgia, I will always ask, when did all of this begin? What happened when your health started to decline? This is where I so often hear, I've never been right since X. This might be related to a physical trauma, such as a car accident or maybe surgery, or an emotional trauma, such as a bereavement or a divorce. In fibromyalgia, there are also major links with adversity in earlier life, which excessively activates the stress response and the nervous system. This link between fibromyalgia and a history of trauma highlights just why patients need to be given the time to tell their story. A 5-minute doctor's appointment simply isn't enough to truly understand the cause. There are also hugely important links between poor gut health and fibromyalgia. In fact, studies tell us that 70% of fibromyalgia patients suffer with irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. The underlying issue is very often what we call dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of the bacterial species in the gut. Interestingly, in one study, all 42 participants with fibromyalgia had small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And we have learned that the degree of pain experienced in fibromyalgia actually correlates with the extent of bacterial overgrowth. So, how do bacteria in our gut worsen the pain in fibromyalgia? It does seem like a strange connection. Well, gut bacteria have the ability to dampen down the incoming nerve signals on their journey to the brain. Quite amazing, really. This is where seeing a naturopathic practitioner can be especially helpful, because in so many cases, you will first need to start by removing the unwanted bacteria before repopulating with new healthy species. However, outside of a clinical consultation, you could try increasing the growth of healthy bacteria by using what we call probiotics, which are living bacteria found in fermented foods and beverages, such as sauerkraut and kombucha. And also you can use probiotic supplements. Just be mindful that if there is fairly significant dysbiosis, then it might cause some bloating. So, what are the other causes of fibromyalgia? Another key consideration is nutrient deficiencies. In particular, this includes vitamin D, vitamin B12, but also magnesium. When these are deficient, the result can be enhanced pain perception. So getting these nutrient levels optimized is absolutely key. So, where can we get these nutrients from? Well, vitamin D is best obtained from sunlight exposure, but we can also obtain vitamin D from our diet, with the richest sources being foods such as wild salmon, sardines, and organic eggs. Vitamin B12 is mostly available from animal foods such as meat, eggs, and fish, but you can also get vitamin B12 from foods such as chlorella and some sea vegetables such as kelp. Magnesium is mostly found in plant foods, such as dark green leafy vegetables, spinach is a great example, as well as legumes, nuts, and seeds. These nutrients can also be supplemented, and I would recommend just to follow the labels for the appropriate dosages here. Moving on from nutrient deficiencies. Have you ever heard of the common infection called glandular fever, which typically affects younger adults? If you have, you may have heard of the virus that causes it. It is known as the Epstein-Barr Virus, also abbreviated to EBV. The presence of this virus is actually very common amongst fibromyalgia patients. Studies have indicated that a more significant EBV infection correlates with higher pain intensities. This is something that can be tested by some laboratories and, if present, indicates that the body would greatly benefit from some immune support. So, how do we do that? Well, in cases of EBV, we definitely want to saturate our blood with vitamin C, which has powerful immune boosting and antioxidant properties. It literally increases the amount of white blood cells in your blood, which help us to fight off infections. We can increase our dietary sources of vitamin C, which would include basically focusing on fresh, raw fruit and vegetables, especially peppers, kiwi fruit, currants and berries, as well as broccoli, which is a great source of vitamin C. Vitamin C is also safe to supplement, and you may want to look at forms of vitamin C that are really well absorbed into the body, such as liposomal vitamin C. Again, read the label for dosages. We also have a variety of studies which have indicated that we have so many natural substances available to us that can really work well against the Epstein-Barr virus. For example, turmeric, pomegranate, and green tea all demonstrate an ability to stop this virus from replicating. One of my personal favourites is a herbal extract called berberine, which can be used as a supplement. There is some great research on this, and I've seen some wonderful results in my clinic from using it. If there are also bowel disturbances in the presentation of fibromyalgia, alongside an Epstein-Barr infection, this is where berberine would be especially a great choice, because what we know is that berberine is also great at killing off unwanted bacteria in the gut. Now back to food. It is extremely common for fibromyalgia patients to have a sensitivity or sometimes even an allergy to gluten, which is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. So I often recommend my fibromyalgia patients to go gluten-free, and this can make a real difference. What I would say, however, is that foods promoted as being gluten-free aren't necessarily always the most healthy. If you go to the free-from section in your local supermarket, many of the gluten-free items are packed with sugar and other unhealthy ingredients. So do carefully check your food labels and also opt for healthy gluten-free alternatives such as buckwheat, brown rice, and quinoa. Sometimes fibromyalgia can occur as a consequence of another disorder in the body, the most common being an underactive thyroid. So to ensure that you're truly getting to the bottom of what's going on, investigating thyroid gland function with a blood test can be a really wise decision. What are other supplements that we can use to be effective in fibromyalgia? One of my go-tos is CoQ10. This is an enzyme that is often deficient in fibromyalgia patients. It helps to protect cells from damage, but also helps to support cell energy production. So it's a really useful nutrient when we think about fibromyalgia. Again, check the packaging for dosage recommendations. Herbal medicines can also make a huge difference in this condition. There are so many that can play a role, but personally, ashwagandha is probably my favourite. Ashwagandha is an Indian or an Ayurvedic herb that helps to reduce pain perception, provides the body with more resilience to stress, and also promotes a more restorative sleep. The fact that this herb supports sleep is particularly beneficial because sleep difficulties are extremely common in fibromyalgia. And poor sleep equals more pain, and more pain equals poor sleep. So it really is a vicious cycle. Now, you could supplement ashwagandha or use this herb in a powdered form. For example, use maybe a teaspoon of ashwagandha powder in a warm nut milk just before bed. In terms of lifestyle advice, fairly low intensity aerobic exercise, such as walking or swimming, can be a great way of improving symptoms. Practices such as Tai Chi can also really help to improve pain perception. And finally, saunas have been shown to provide great benefit in fibromyalgia. One study got subjects to undertake saunas 3 times a week for 12 weeks, and the results showed significant improvements in symptoms. So, translating this into real life, I would recommend maybe spending around 20 to 30 minutes in a sauna 3 times a week. And it's important, by the way, to ensure that you're really keeping hydrated, but also make sure that when you're in the sauna, you are creating a good sweat. Because sweating is ultimately what's helping us to eliminate those waste products from the body. And some of the biggest waste products we want to think about here are heavy metals such as mercury, which has been really heavily implicated in fibromyalgia. So with fibromyalgia often being so impactful on one's quality of life, it is fantastic that you can be educated about what this condition is, what causes it, and most importantly, what we can do about it. Knowledge truly is power, and the understanding and ability of how to improve someone's life drastically is something that shouldn't be taken for granted. Practitioners in the field of naturopathic medicine are trained to find the root cause behind someone's condition so that they can be addressed using natural means. So whilst this video should give you a really good head start, enhancing your education or seeking the advice of a qualified practitioner for fibromyalgia can be life-changing. Please remember to subscribe to our channel to stay updated with all of our new releases each week. And if you have any suggestions for other topics you'd like us to discuss, please let us know in the comments section.